Chapter 1. Finders Keepers. Yes, I was born some time ago. Yet, to say it in such a way deceives those to whom I would tell this in regards to my youth. For despite my birth, I have yet to come into true being. Trees, bugs, rivers, books, fields, skies, moons. I see the same things every day now, don't I? Sleep, labor, train, meditate, study, lounge, think. I do the same things every day. The bore, the predictability, the banality, the horrors of comfort. They certainly are not dangers that we are thoroughly warned of as we grow through this life, like a tree, firmly rooted in one place until death comes for us and we lack the animation to flee it. And where exactly would we flee to, anyhow? By my rationalization, I would suggest we scurry away from servitude and sprint towards freedom, of course. Freedom! We have it here, sure. However, it is a rather tame flavor of freedom, unlike that of the wild, sour, and citrusy freedom of exploration. One that at first contact burns the tongue, but makes amends with it by the sweet aftertaste. The freedom we have here is a freedom to choose your line of work, to speak what and how you see fit, to, in some parts, participate in governance, though, naturally, more influence is afforded to the nobles. The freedom here is one of a docile sort. I want to be free in the wild, as I am intended, where it is inhospitable to me, yet I am to retaliate against that unwelcoming nature however I deem just. Are there yet lands to conquer? Wilds to domesticate? Or has all the fun been had? I desire to be filled with a sense of never knowing what's behind that quivering bush until I part its leaves, or enter that cave, or foot that mountain. Redundancy. I know you all too well. Nothing is impersonal between us, or so you think. You keep no secret from me, yet I withhold from you my deepest desires. I yearn to excommunicate you, to disown you, to forget you. You have grown far too comfortable with me, and I despise this about you. Why is it that these woes haunt me and not the others? Have they even encountered such thoughts by their own volition and reflected deeply upon them? And I mean deeply, prying and rummaging, almost as though they were intruding upon a chamber within their own mind that they never knew was there to begin with. What a world of surprise it is to find a squatter in your house of thoughts and in that very room. And if my peers have had such ideas as these, why is it that I've never heard their agitation voiced? I raise the concern in conversation, and it gets dismissed and shooed away as though a buzzing pest in every instance. Am I afforded no more than a swat and a puff? Is our curiosity so weak as to not question what is far beyond the gates of Essel, or furthermore, beyond the borders of the Omani kingdom of Oma, and inside the depths of its trenches, narrows of its rivers, spans of its fields, and peaks of its heights? These are the invasive inquisitions storming my mind on this pleasant, bright-skied day. Am I ungrateful for this peace? Am I wrong to desire a thrill? Even if said thrill demands risk? In earnest, what thrill does not? Ought we act on our latent desires, those waved away secret urges, or for eternity hold our peace as though it were an object of shame to be taken to the grave and beyond? If there is yet a trait of mine that I've always refused to discard, it is my inability to bite my tongue when it is ripe with things to say. For what could be more of a waste than this? Deny. I want to run with wild onyx. I wish to enjoy glorious views from atop rigid mountains, far from our pulpy slopes, lazy streams, and tree-fixed abodes. I want to cross terrains and trek paths least taken. I yearn for challenge and also for surprise. I aspire for more than I have, and this appetite for the novel will not sate. I seek for that which must be sought. I listen for that which cannot be heard from the confines of Essel. I desire to befriend the Tamas. I believe... He interrupts unapologetically.
You believe in rather dangerous ideals and foster irrational imaginations, such as that of befriending the Tamas. Why not focus your passions upon things that actually matter? Namely, you ought to donate more of your attention to money. Amass enough, and you may do as you see fit, even if what it is that you see fit is foolish.
Denai chuckles in his patronizing fashion. You simply fear what you do not know, I rebuke.
I fear the implications of what you think you know, my dear friend.
I hesitate to respond, knowing the nature of Denai's logic. But, if only for today, I will prod him for it. All right, then. Humor me. What exactly are the implications of such an adventure as to, say, travel to Targovadra and to establish a relationship with one of their citizens?
Dire ones! Let us leave it there, his tone bellows.
No, I don't think I will. Not this time. As I stand to leave, Denai reveals to me his more sensitive and less avowed side.
You are a gifted wolf and a curious ponderer, but you are also to be a defender of Omani. Here is where you are needed.
A defender in times of peace is as useful as a cure for a disease that does not exist, I adroitly reply.
Yet,
Denai adds. He says thus with the press of a warning but the weight of a threat. I'm not sure what he means, nor do I care to continue this partial debate to find out. He's been acting ever so slightly out of character lately. Condescending senior in one moment, understanding friend in the next. We end our socio-political engagement on account of Sa's slipping presence and decide to lighten the mood and enjoy some pipe leaf at our favorite smokehouse. Upon our passing through the gates of Essel, a merry bunch, drunk from wine, sing with one another the old song of the fool's heart. Oh, how the pure of heart lack the judgment of the wise, how their innocence brings the downfall of their lives. Oh, why must the curious always pry in matters which they mustn't? It's best to shield your eyes. They try to change the evilest of minds. Alas, it is for naught, for surely they shall die. A rather eerie song to sing so jolly-like, I say to Denai.
It is about you. Heed their warning,
he says in a jestingly manner, though I am sure that sheathed underneath his quip is that which he truly believes to be truth. I'll be sure to take caution, I humor him. Secluded and armed with the best product, we waste no time scouring the menu with attention to detail. But, as always, we go with the usual. A fresh, brown, and standard leaf produced right here in Essel. Plain and without added flavor. The stimulation? Anything but. As I have said, my life does not stray from the path most taken. The usual has conditioned me into a rather mundane cycle in which variety has even left my taste and diminished my palate. Denai is especially moved by the herb. He finishes his drag and clears his pipe out, flipping it upside down and tapping its head against his palm, brushing his hands clean. He rises to depart.
I ought to be getting out of here. It is late in the day, and on the morrow I have a hunt to embark on. Preparations need be made. A group of Argul raided an Alatorian luxury caravan on its course to the capital approximately 40 km east of us. It's funny, truly. By sea or by river they have no match. And yet, the Alatorians couldn't deliver a chest across a field a stone's cast without tripping over their own feet. They could certainly learn a thing or two about traversing the land.
Odd. Argul tend not to stray far from their caves, I reply.
That's right. And what's especially peculiar is that they don't travel in packs.
You sure you read that report right? I practically squint at him with suspicion.
Positive.
Denai is not one to overlook details or misread anything. He's always possessed a meticulous and scrutinizing complexion. It is the air for his patronizing formulas. Tell me how that goes. I ought head home as well. I pat him on the shoulder, drop 2 scribbles of lock on the table for the both of us, then take my leave. The euphoria from earlier still lingers as I stroll about the town. It is weak, but present nonetheless. Perhaps this explains why it is that I am not walking the proper path home. On the contrary, I'm heading in the polar opposite direction. My path is to the east gate, and though my judgment says turn around, my intuition cries out, explore. I am not weary, for this day was unoccupied and has thus left me with a surplus of vitality. Why not do Denai a favor and hunt those Arghul myself? The whole situation has piqued my interest anyhow, and if anyone knows me, they know that once I'm even slightly intrigued, there's no turning me from my impulses. Onward! Approaching the east village guard posts, I conceal my 2 guards talk amidst the mist and amongst themselves, unaware of my coming. I merge into the shadows with precaution, avoiding any loose twigs and dry leaves that may have been blown in with the westward wind or unstuck from travelers who've come in for accommodations. I am near enough to the gate now that I may dash out as soon as a diversion is afforded to me. One, it seems, which I will have to manifest myself. I initiate the first command, uttering it in a whisper. Command, astral arrow. I aim to the right of the guards with my translucent bow of cosmic flame, the shaft like a glass, and its spearhead of stars drawn back in preparation. Command, cloak. This enables me to enshroud myself, along with the otherwise luminous bow and arrow, by applying a concealing and light-bending layer of to our surfaces. Unseen and unheard, I release the invisible string and launch the arrow past the guards. It hits my intended target. A large stone just in front of the nearby stable entrance meets my arrow. A blinding flash, followed by an erupting explosion, turning stone to pebbles, reaps a legitimized reaction from the guards just as intended. The onyx wail in fright, but are unharmed within their sheltered stalls. Command, weightless. I lighten my mass, cutting it in half. I then focus the majority of my into my legs and propel from the ground, over the 20 tall gate and into the sky. Command, wait. I regain my original mass whilst still airborne and shoot down into the forest in order to avoid being discovered as my cloak fades. This whole ordeal about a village curfew is archaic and outmoded. No free individual ought to be required to skulk about in secret. Had I but returned home and donned my wolf band, I might have avoided the elaborate pyrotechnics entirely. Alas, what's past is past. I'm in the clear now. No damage done, none caused. Presently, my only priority is to focus on discerning the whereabouts of these Arghul. Crossing the puddle-dotted bridge over the village moat, I am rewarded to a sight of spirited wonder. That uncanny reflection of the early night sky. Sa dipping slowly, and yet the stars out and about, showing themselves in the scattered portals of water upon the viaduct surface. They truly appear as such that one can leap into any of these puddles only to end up as a companion to the celestial bodies, a neighbor to the constellations. The wooden overpass leads me into the outer boundaries of Essel's patrol routes. Here, I may safely turn the whole of my attention towards the quest. After journeying a few dozen kilama east, and with night capitulating to day, I pause to commence my spoor and conduct my search from this point. Command, track. With this, I exhibit a spatial awareness that is not produced of a sixth sense, but rather a combination and coordination of the organic 5. Let's see. Moss Bear 3 kilama to my left, couple of Hogas not far off to the right, late raiding party directly north, 7 Omani with 2 onyx pulling chariots. A trade caravan, most likely. I'll be careful to avoid them. I sense no Arghul. Was Denai telling the truth? For what reason would someone lie about a wolf contract? No. There are no grounds to suspect that Denai is being dishonest with me. I held complete confidence in this. Perhaps the Argol took their bounty and made off with it already. Wrong again. Argol aren't nomadic. They're hoarders, and as such, they tend to burrow themselves in one place and wallow in their wrongly gained treasures. As I contemplate, abruptly, my track sense picks up a faint life source. It's hanging on by a thread, but the signature of this essence unmistakably belongs to the species in question. I dash and hurtle towards the dying pulse. My trail ends at an abandoned campsite upon a cliff overlooking a minor lake. I can still sense it. He's under me. But where? In the water. A disgruntled groan scratches my eardrums. With one arm, I hang myself tilted from the edge of the drop, facing the indentation within the cliff. There's a hidden, nestled cave here. Another groan surfaces from the darkness. I vaulted myself into the arid lair. The air is still. An odor, stained with defeat, carries with it the stench of slaughter. Again, another groan, this time followed by an ugly whimper. No more than 10 amma in. There he is in all of his damned and helpless glory. Big one. 3 amma male. 3, perhaps 400 kumla. Someone's taken one of his arms from him. His remaining arm is pinned into his back with a long and serrated dagger. A quick analysis of my surroundings proves the pack reporting to yield factual. 4 other Argul lay about, lifeless. Their corpses are scattered across the narrow and fractured cave, some of them buried in their rubble of spoils. Their stolen treasures, for the most part, have been left behind, albeit judging from the trail of currencies sprinkled amuck, a small portion of the bounty was nevertheless taken from them. Very peculiar. Bizarre, even. I bring my attention back to the exhausted survivor. Seeing as I do not speak Argulish, I am going to have to infiltrate your mind to learn precisely what occurred here. I apologize to the poor creature. As deserving of his predicament as he may be, I'm never delighted to use this. Command. Infiltrate. A vast portion of my is withdrawn from within my vessel and enters that of the Arguls, roped to my body by an ethereal string as not to lose my way in the creature's memorial corridors. The remainder of my operates as a mindless rider whose onyx carries the responsibility of the awareness and protection of his equestrian. During this command, my body knows only to autonomously defend itself, whilst my mind wanders the hallways of my victim's soul and the retention of his lived past. In smaller or injured targets, I may even go as far as to control their movement and autonomy. After some minutes, the Argul's body collapses and I return to my native shell. This is what I've learned. These Argul came together in an unusual circumstance. It appears a hooded Tamasu raider arrived at each of their respective caves and bribed them with details to ambush a caravan with jewelry, rare stones, and an unambiguous map. They were each instructed that they could take everything from the caravan except the map and to leave it behind. This one did not listen. Well, he fully intended on doing what he was told, but the map mesmerized and beguiled him. It was a glorious map. It even demanded and affixed my attention through memories which did not belong to me, and I could barely deny its allure myself. Its shine unlike even the shine of a king's crown, a brilliant and lavish gold. Ironic. This Tamasu went through the trouble of learning the grunts and moans of Argulish only to be finessed by the most basic truth about the Argul, and that is that they love nothing more than gold. This one had swallowed the map in his greed-inflamed panic and paranoia. The deplorable creature takes his last relieving breath. I draw my stiletto from within the scabbard of my vambrace and slice vertically down his stomach. Digging inside, I feel the thin, cold metal of the map against his still warm organs. I pull it out and examine the masterpiece. The artwork, the flexibility, the condition, everything is perfect. The blood of the Argul effortlessly slides through its curves and folds and onto the stone floor of the corpse-filled cave. It's a map of all of Oma. cities and villages, rivers and sea, plains and deserts, ranges and canyons all outlined. This is a feat that has yet to see the light of day. There are lands untouched and unseen, and they are not part of the mainland. There's so much detail and so grand an expanse. If this is an accurate depiction of our world, then... I freeze. This means Denai and the rest of our kin were right all along. The Tamas would only desire such a map to gain an advantage on us. No, no, no. I have yet to meet one face-to-face in any civil dialogue, and I cannot condemn their populace for what simply appears like the covert actions of their crown. Thus, I'll hold back my accusations for the time being. However, the damage that can be done to our territories with this scope of knowledge cannot be understated. In the duration of my gazing at the map, Ara's moonlight has at last relieved the last of Sa's rays. Suddenly, the hairs of my scalp leap and my heart heaves itself once against my chest, ossified and halted within the moment thereafter. I duck, driven by pure instinct. Whirling overhead, I hear the pulsing sound of a thrown blade, spinning, accompanied by rapid vibrations at an abnormally high frequency. My knees, weakened by this phenomenon, give in.